All right, welcome back. So the first software that we are going to be seeing is something that we saw in that preview video, which is Evoto. So this is how we're going to start things. And the reason I'm showing you Evoto first is, one, because we kind of already saw it before. Secondly, this definitely, because this came after Retouch for me, the other competitor I talked about in the earlier video, this really, took all the photography community by storm. Okay, like it was slightly more advanced than Retouch for me, which also is something we'll be seeing after this. Okay, so this is the current thing that is causing all the commotion. So I thought I'll start off with this. So you have to go to evoto.ai. Okay, so once you go there, this is how the website looks. You have to go over to download. So I'm going to be showing everything through free trials or whatever they offer for free, because I'm guessing most of the people who are watching this course straight away won't just be going for the paid things here. So I just want to show things in such a way that you and me see exactly the same thing. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you have the paid one or the free one, because I'm only showing you software where the free trials pretty much show you exactly what you can get when you are using the paid versions also. So there's not going to be any difference, except for the fact that they won't allow us to export the image without the watermark. Okay, that's going to be the main issue. Otherwise, everything is going to remain the same. And for each software, once we've seen how this works, like for example, this video, we're actually going to be seeing how the software works. And the next video, we're going to talk about whether this is worth it or not by looking at the price and the other things. Okay, so that's how the flow inside this course will go. So once you've gone here, go to the download thing. If you have a Mac, you're going to hit here. If you have Windows, just download it. It's going to be like a 700 MB download. Just install it. And once you do, you're going to be able to search your computer for the Evoto app here like this. Very simple. That's, there's no need to really show you that. Just install it. And once you click on it, it'll just show you like an option which says sign in. And then you just sign in with the, the first time when you open this app, it'll actually just tell you to make an account for your free trial, okay? And your free trial, you basically get around 5 to 10 credits. What that means is that, you can retouch 5 to 10 images and export them, okay? Though sometimes that actually doesn't work with Evoto. That's the main problem, but you'll still be able to use the software. You may not be able to still export. There's some bug or something. I even talked to their team. I'll talk about that later. But you'll still be able to use the software like I've shown you. So open up the app, create your account, sign in. And the moment you sign in, you're going to see something like this, like how we saw before. Okay. So there'll be like a place like this. And then remember, I've given you this image in the work along images. So just drag it over here, because initially you may not see this. You will just see the sample project. So either you can create a new project and then open up the image, or just you can drag the image also. Since I've already did that for the preview video, it's kind of showing me this here. So I'll just double click on it. And when you do that, this is how Evoto looks like, okay? Now, initially it can look a bit intimidating. So this is not a Photoshop plugin, okay? We are not inside Photoshop, which might be the case in some of the other software. This, as you can see, is an app or a standalone software on its own. Now, whether that is good or bad, that'll be reserved for the next video, okay? We're seeing how this works right now. So if we open this particular image, it's completely unedited right now. Just want to talk this time about the interface, because last time I was pretty quick about everything that I did with this, okay? So the main thing that you have to focus on are these tabs here. The color tab, the Portrait Retouching tab. This will be the most important one. This is going to make the maximum difference to the skin, okay? Then you have the background adjustments tab, like we change the background color. You can remove these little wrinkles that sometimes you see in the backdrops, because I was using a cotton cloth backdrop, like the muslin cloth. And then you have, for the clothes, you have this one, and finally the crop and the other thing. So this is the primary tab. Now, within this, anytime you select any of these tabs, like let's say Portrait Retouching tab, right? You get a lot of manual options here for each, okay? So like you can see here, if I just do close this, you can see we have all these tabs. So one just deals with blemish, skin, shape of the face, expression, and all these things, okay? Then let's say if I was to go on the color tab, right? This will give you stuff like what you see in Lightroom, right? Adobe Lightroom, if you've ever used it, these temperature sliders, exposure, contrast. So you have like full manual control also. But however, Since I want to be quick in this course when it comes to showing you these software, I'll try my best to not show you things that are too manual, because then what will be the difference between using this and Lightroom? I want to concentrate on things that are really quick and speedy. Okay, we can do those things really fast. That's what we are focusing on in this course. I'm not going to be moving around too many manual sliders like this. So this is for each one, you get stuff like this. Sometimes, like especially for the color one, you also get some presets like this. You can use it here. But the main presets are actually here. So this left side is also important, mainly because you get presets and you can actually create your own presets also, which can actually make this whole process actually one click. Okay, but I'm going to be showing you how to do that later on. So you have some given presets here, which have been given by the Evoto team to us. So one is this is going to be important. Then you have something called as color mask. I'll show you what this does. This basically later on will help you separate out the background from the subject, so that any changes that you make here, you may not want that to affect the background or the subject, and we can work in a localized way also, just like how layer masking works in Photoshop and other software. Okay, and then this is like to undo something. Like this is like the history tab. If you keep doing something, it'll show you all the steps you've done, and if you want to undo things, you can go to any other step before. Okay, so kind of like an undo thing. There are some things here, like you have the spot healing brush tool. If you're not happy with what it's done on the skin, you still want to remove more spots, you can use this. Right now it's disabled because we actually haven't done anything. Some other options here also, the liquify tool and all these things. We're all going to see all that later on. And below here you can see, just like you get in Lightroom, you can put more images here, and you can even sync the edit of one edit to multiple things. So if you've done a shoot and let's say that has 15 shots, you just need to do the editing once and just sync it to the whole batch, and that's just going to do things for you. Okay, so yeah, pretty much 1 and 2, these are going to be the most important, left one and the right one. All right, so I know enough of talking, let's get started. Okay, and here, let's just go here. Now, like I said, I was shooting using so this was not on my seamless paper backdrop. This was on the cloth. So you can see a bit of wrinkles here. So first of all, you can clean the backdrop. Okay, so let's see if it did too much. No, not too much, right? You can see here before. Yeah, just a bit, right? So you can see before. Yeah, it actually did a lot of good work here, but it's still there, right? If you had any sort of banding issues, which can sometimes come, okay, so you can remove that. You can see now it definitely has made a lot of difference. So just see this, okay? Before, after. That's pretty much now looking like a seamless gray background behind. Removed all the wrinkles, and that is absolutely amazing, because that means when you're shooting, even if you were a bit sloppy in setting things up, you can get away now thanks to AI, okay? Do you want to enhance the background in some way? So I've tried this. I don't exactly know what this does, okay? So like, yeah, I think it does kind of the same thing. No, this was color banding, sorry. So yeah, so this has got to do with more of the tones and the saturation and the contrast. And I think it just tries to even out the tones, okay? So can you see, like, it looks much better now? Let's just see. Yeah. So it kind of just plays around with the brightness and these things, okay? It tries to even out, just like we are trying to even out the tones on the face, it's doing the same thing for the background. So just a bit of difference. Definitely there was a bit of difference, but if you see the before and after, yeah, that definitely looks much more seamless now, much more professional now, okay? And like I said, if you want to change the color, you can change the color. And select any color that you want. I think this is looking fantastic. So nice, you also have so many different colors here. Okay, you can choose all these things. You can kind of upload your own backdrops also. So if you had a particular texture that you like to use, you can upload that image and then use that as the background. And it does a fairly good job. You can see here on the gaps also it shows through. This again, from a photography point of view, is really helpful. Why? But this means even if you just have a single white or a gray backdrop, that's enough. You don't have to buy multiple backdrops of different colors, because you can use this and simply replace it and change it to any color, and it does a pretty good job. So even for me, like these days, I just simply let the white seamless paper be on all the time. If I need to change the color, we can use this. Okay. Also have some textured backdrops here. If you want, you can change it to that. Also, I'm not a big fan of that. So this time let's choose blue. Yeah, all right. Oh no, I think this was okay. And now we have the clothes. So remember, wrinkle the clothing. So it's going to just put this, just going to render this and take this out. Boom. So after, you want to remove the fine wrinkles. Again, this is like, once you do something, the sliders below that are usually there to fine tune things. So we're telling, you know what, keep some of the fine wrinkles there. We don't mind that. So it's just going to give it a more realistic look. We can maybe just put it half-half. Remove coarse wrinkles, the bigger wrinkles. We just put both half and it's going to give you slightly better look if you want it to be more realistic. So again, a lot of things under your control. Finally, this involved a lot of work, but I just wanted to show you that you have all these options. Now, if you want this to be one click, then we've already seen what to do before. Simply use a preset. So first of all, what we'll do is, since we spent so much time on working on this, okay, and let's say, I'm just assuming, let's say we are happy, even though we have been aggressive, let's say we are happy right now with what we've got, okay? We can just save this as a preset. So we can just call it, you can literally give it any name. So let's say I can call it high key studio look, okay? Because so that I'll remember that anytime I have like one of those white background type of large softbox like shots like this, even for some other person, some other subject, I know that this look will work for me. Like this preset should work for me because it worked for this high key type of an image. Even though this was not high key, but let's at least say a kind of a bright looking portrait, okay? It was definitely not one of those dark and moody low-key portraits. So we can call it this, otherwise you can give it any other name. You can, at this point, you can even decide that whatever you did here, do you want to exclude something from this preset? So you can uncheck that. So these are basically referring to the tabs here. So maybe I don't want the skin to be affected, but I want the other things to be affected, then I can take this out, okay? But I want everything to be there. And you know what type of a preset this is, since we use different combinations of both color and portrait, we can call this combination. That's not right now, it's not too important. Point is, we're saving it as a preset. I can also create a group of presets so that I stay more organized. I'm going to skip all this for right now, okay? So just creating a preset, we'll have to just create a group. So let's just call it studio, okay? Or let's just say color, skin, background, and dress, okay? So that we know that, yeah, it's going to affect all these things. And within that, this is for the iStudio look. So I'll just save this and preset save successfully. Now we want this to be as fast as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to open one more image from this shoot, okay? So let me do that. So here, like I said, one thing, by the way, you can move your mouse wheel, okay, to zoom in and zoom out like this. You can fit it 1:1, change the zoom percentage and all these things, and you can check the before and after by hitting this, okay? But I'll just close this, right? So as far as color goes here, I can definitely try to first of all correct the white balance. Now I usually get a good white balance because I set it in my camera using a gray card. That's usually the best way to do it. So I get accurate colors straight away. But something that can't harm you here is under this, you can try auto. But you can see like it didn't really make too much of a difference. But the moment we use anything in Evoto, now you can see, since we're using the free trial version, this Evoto thing watermark will come here. So even if you were to export this image, it'll go with the watermark, okay? So you can see here, auto didn't really do anything, but if you had a really bad color balance, this would have fixed it. You can play around with some of the filters here if you want to give a different kind of look. I usually go for neutral. So let me show you the other ones also. For example, Pure Love. It's going to basically, it's like adding one of those Instagram filters, okay? Like this, I'll give you like a faded look. You can even control the intensity like this. Okay, go for something like this. And no, I think I'll go for neutral. Okay, so if you go for neutral, it doesn't really add anything crazy, tries to correct the colors, and I can also change the intensity like this. Do I want too much of it? Problem is, it only doesn't affect the colors since we're kind of putting a filter. It's like a color look, they call it. It's like a filter. It also changes the exposure a bit. Okay, let's see here. So if I just compare the before, yeah. But if you really had some color issues, this is one step where you'll have to kind of go under this and play around with the color grading, play around with the hue saturation slider. Like for example, if I wanted to reduce a bit of this orangish and reddish look that we're getting, so maybe I can just try to take away a bit of saturation or the hue, just change the hue of the reds. Okay, you don't want to do too much because her lips are red and all. But like I said, I'm not deliberately showing this too much because then this becomes like any other course. I don't want to focus on these things. I want to just show you something where things can be done with one click. Okay, so right now we're just going to leave it as it is, and you can experiment with this later on. The main tab is this one, the portrait retouching one. We're going to hit this, and now is the time that we can either decide to manually remove all this or do it just by a preset. So first, let's just have a look at the manual ones. Okay, the first thing that you see here is this can actually differ according to the type of person you have. For example, if I had a child instead of this woman, then if I hit child here, okay, it takes away a lot of the options. For example, when I have child clicked, it's simply not going to show us body blemish or infant body blemish and all these things. Okay, so it takes away a lot of options. You can have separate things for the elderly people. Okay, or you can even do it according to the individual in the picture. So it's gonna like just change the settings a bit, the order that it shows to and all these things. Usually for this, okay, let Evoto detect what this is and let it just work with the default. So when we did it, it automatically detected that this was a female and it just gave us these options, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, so now let's say if I was to zoom into her face, and we have the first tab, which is blemish removal. If I do this, you can see it takes away all those bad looking blemishes. You can control how much ever you want. You want it to be realistic, then use a less degree. If you want it more, you can use it more. So let's see the before and after. Zoomed into her face, and you can see, right? Just see all those blemishes on her forehead. If you've done my Photoshop courses, you know that this step, removing all this by going and clicking that spot healing brush tool, sometimes takes like 10 to 15 minutes on the face. Here, with just one move of the slider, you've literally got a perfect looking face. Okay, and just to kind of give you a slight bonus information, when I do shoots for my clients, I give them different packages. I don't simply include high-end retouching in every package. Sometimes the lowest package is like, I'll do the shoot for you, and any blemishes that are there, I'll just remove them. Apart from that, I'm not doing anything. So just imagine if I'm shooting this person at my bottommost package, like the lowest package that I have, where I actually don't do any kind of proper retouching, this is where I stop. Literally with one slider, my edit is done because I only promised them at that lower package blemish removal. So you can see, right, things can be really quick depending on what you're trying to do with the software. So you can definitely go ahead with this. You can remove body blemishes. I'm not going to go through everything here, okay? Because ultimately what you'll find is it's just better to use a preset when you're starting out. But I'm just showing you that all this can be done. So you can remove the dark circles also. So just see, kind of lighten those dark circles. Wrinkles on the eye can be taken away. You have complete control over everything, like you can see here. And just imagine, we haven't actually even opened up the skin retouching tab. This is just on the blemish removal tab, which is not actually the main skin tab. So let's close this now. Let's go to skin retouching, and you can see I can really smoothen this out if I want. It's just dodge and burn. What that means is it's trying to even out the skin tones. So anytime, there's a difference between the highlights and the shadows, it's trying to even that out. So just see before and after. So this kind of like frequency separation, dodge and burn and all those things. The only difference is it just happens with one slider. Okay. Then you have face skin smoothing. This is pretty strong. Okay. So use it conservatively, because you can see here, if I do this, it's really going to take that a bit of that texture away. Some people like it, some people don't. This is also in that realm where photographers now start to talk about sensitive issues about retouching. We are not going to be talking about all that inside this course. Okay. I'm just showing you how things can be done. What you do with it is completely up to you. My philosophy, if you were to ask me, personal philosophy is that I do what my client says. If my client says, Kush, I like unrealistic skin look, I give them the unrealistic skin look. If they tell me, Kush, yeah, just make some changes, but I want to keep my skin as it is, I do that. I follow my client's orders. That's my philosophy. Okay, so I don't have any moral or any morality around this. Okay, just do what my client says. So right here, this is too much, right? You can clearly see. So think something like this. So be conservative with this, because this works better. Dodge and burn is more realistic. But you can see here, before, after. This would have taken 1.5 hours in Photoshop with manual retouch. Okay. We don't have too much of body here, but let's just try. Yeah, you can see that also made a difference. Again, one slider. Unify body complexion. This is very important, because sometimes what happens is because the different color casts that are bouncing, all this light that is falling, you can get a different looking body color and the face color. Again, this is not happening because in my shoots, I use a fairly large softbox. Okay. So that really helps out in soft lighting, good colors and all these things. But if that was an issue, you can kind of drag this also. So if there was a difference, you could just see, right? There's a little bit of difference, and it kind of evened out the skin tones between the face and the body. So just see this. Or after. Beautiful, right? I purposely have gone a bit aggressive on that so that you can see the difference, okay? Then this I don't really use much, but you can kind of change the tone according to these different palettes of colors. For example, let's say I can go for like this palette. It's going to just give it a bit of a tan. Not a big fan of this, okay? I like to leave the color, which is natural. You can play around with the temperature slider. Skin radiance is just going to make it glow. I'm not a big fan of it, like you can see here. Something like this just adds a bit of glow. Maybe, let's say, we can maybe just add just a bit. Okay, so see, before, after. Point is, it's all happening fast. Okay, and it can be taken away fast. That's what we are interested in. Facial reshape. Now, this is like perhaps the most controversial, thing. So I'm not going to really spend too much time on it, but you have like every control over every possible part of the shape. So you can like change the shape like this, and I'm going to undo that. Now, of course, you can do it on the right. You can do it on the temple, cheekbone. Okay, if that's your thing, do it. If not, you can just completely leave this. You can see like shrink the face a bit. I also provide editing services, and this is one request I get a lot. Okay, so even the photographers don't like this. Clients love it. I get requests like this all the time, that make my face like this or change this, and we do it. Okay, like change probably the hairline. Okay, see what this does. You can kind of see that probably can be important, especially for male portraits who, like me, are losing their hair. Okay, so probably you can use it for that. You can change the facial expressions. I'm not really going to go into this. It's just going to put a smile. It's going to look ridiculous. Teeth touch up in this. We're not really seeing teeth, but you can kind of apply a bit of whiting if someone had yellow teeth, again, like me. And so, yeah, you can do that. You can enable pretty teeth. We probably can't see it here. I'm sure it'll do something. And then you've got eyes. Okay, so you can add like a bit of brightness to the eyes. Again, because I'm using a large soft box, most of these problems are not there in the first place, which is the best thing you can do. If sometimes when you zoom in to the eye, okay, they can be like these red veins. You can remove that if you want. You can see, just took away that vein. You see, before, after. That can be good. I actually like the veins. I don't know why. But anyway, in this case, we leave it like that. You can also add a catch light. Okay, if you didn't probably have, or sometimes what happens is you don't you realize later that you didn't have a catch light, maybe because of the direction of your modifier. So you can actually add different kinds of catch lights here. Okay, this, I think this looks good. You'll add this, but this is because I already had that huge softbox in her eye. I'm just going to turn down this really less and control the intensity also from here. Just like, let's say if I had a fill light going on the other side. Makeup is something I'm not a big fan of. Okay, so you can like do things like this, play around with this, contouring. Lip color adjustment, you can change the lip color, make it slightly, just adding some makeup, right? You can see like you have so many options. Like you'll be able to play around with this, have some fun. You want to change the shape of the eyebrows, you can see, right? I mean, you want to do that. It's just going to add that volume in the eye. Just want to add a bit of it maybe. So eyeshadow, eyelashes, like, of course, you don't want to do something like that. That's going to be bad. Contacts, you can literally change the color. Don't want to do that. Again, these are loud things I don't like. Face decorations. No, I don't want to do that. That's your thing. Feel free. Showing you something which really makes a lot of difference in a good way. Okay. Do you want to change the hair? This is where, remember, you can remove the stray hair also. So you can like, let's do this, and it's just going to take away all that bad looking stray hair. So that is important, right? You can even put some gaps between the hair and all these things. Okay, but this is important. Not hairline, remove stray hair. Okay, you can even tell it, okay, that within the figure, how much should be the intensity of the hair being removed, because it should not also kind of look fake. Okay, so it's just like, can you see now? It's just starting to add those within the face things back. I definitely do it for the outer ones because that looks absolutely terrible. Okay, and if it's too much on the face, that also doesn't look good. So just slightly kind of think of it like this. We've decreased the opacity of what it did within the face, but we are still keeping the full opacity of what it did outside. Okay, and one more very controversial thing is the full body reshape. So I'm just going to zoom out for this. Let's just see. Boom. No, don't use that. No. So most times you won't be using it. If you want, you can use it a bit conservatively. Okay. Do you want to shrink the head? Do you want to do things with the neck, breasts, and all these things? You can play around with this. You get the point. Now, here's the thing, right? So we've gone quickly from, of course, because I'm talking, it takes a lot of time. But if you just drag around things, we've gone from this to this. And I've deliberately been aggressive. So this is definitely looking a bit aggressive. Okay, you can be a bit more conservative because I'm just showing you how it works. Now we go on to the next tab, which is background adjustments. Right, so I've got this particular image, which is again from the same shoot. You must have also got your hands on it. So I'm just going to open this up. And when I open this, you can see it's pretty much everything has remained the same. Only her pose has changed. So we can definitely use the preset. Right, so you can see here under the strip here, it's come as the second pick. This was our first pick. You can move around both of these. So this time we've got two options. One is that we can ignore what we did before for the first picture. And in order to make this a one-click process, we can do what we did in the preview video that you saw before, which is just simply go to presets anytime and then select one of these. Okay. If you want things to be a bit natural, you can just simply select natural 1 or natural 2. So let me just zoom in to her face. And this is mainly going to like work on the skin here. Okay, so just see. Yeah, it's going to make those changes, but this is going to give you perhaps the most natural look. So you can see here. Right, and if we actually now open up one of those tabs, these things would have already moved here. Can you see? This is what the preset does. It kind of just moves all the sliders according to the preset. So you can see if I select natural 2, the movement is going to be different. And this time we get a slightly more stronger natural this time. So, right, if I really want things to be like one of those high-end portraits where things are going to be dialed up, it's going to be more aggressive, I can select high-end. This is really going to make it as soft as possible. This kind of closer to those magazine looks that you get. So you can see before and after. So you can play around with this. You have glowing and all these things. And with just one click, you pretty much are done. Then, because remember, the maximum time went in this one, right? This tab, when we were dealing with the skin. That's what this really takes care of. And then now if you wanted to change the background and all those things, those are pretty easy to do. So those are like just few clicks and you're done. But this really saves time on the color and the skin part. Okay, so these presets are amazing, but remember, we also have our own preset, right? So anytime you want to go back to the original, you can always say reset all effects. I'm going to go back to the original, and this time I want to use my own preset, the one that I created. So I'm going to go here again under presets, but not under the recommended one. You can try and play around with these. You can see there's so many of them. Okay, these are the given by Evoto, but I'm going to go to my presets, and remember under this group that we had created, color, skin, background, and so this changes everything. We're going to go to high key studio look, and hopefully it's processing, because obviously there's so many things. Just give us a similar result to what we had. You can see beautiful, right? So if you just compare this, and this. So if you were to give this to my client, if I were to give this to my client, this is pretty much a one-click job after I've edited at least like one image. And then let's say similarly, let's say I had 25 shots, 30, 40, 50 shots of this shoot. And then I don't want to be going and hitting the preset every time. So another way that you can do, even though that is one click also, another thing that you can do is, let's just open, let's say 2 more images to see that. So these are also from the same shoot. Okay, let me see this one and this one. Yeah. See how so they're different images. So you can see. So what I can now do is, I can also sync the edits together. Okay. So select one of the images, first click on one of the images on which the editing is there. And that's usually going to be the first image. In this case, it's also the second one because we applied the preset on the second one. So let's say I select the first one. So you can see this highlighted now with this yellow border. Then hold down Control or Command, okay? And then just select this, like all the ones. And another thing that you can do is just like hit Control or Command plus A, so that you don't have to click on everything. It just selects everything together. And then you can kind of see that these two have this edit icon, right? And if you see the first one, it has a yellow border, okay? So just see this. Whichever you select first, that has a yellow border. In this case, I've hit on the second image, so it has a yellow border. Or if I select this first, then the other ones have white borders. What this means is any image that has this yellow border is the reference image from which you can sync the settings onto the other images, okay? So with this selected, so let me hit Control Command A. Let's say I had 25 images like this. This will be my reference image, which I've edited. I can go on to sync. It's going to ask me, what all do you want to sync? Okay, so I want to sync everything that I've done. Oftentimes, if you've cropped, we actually didn't crop, but you'll not select crop because crop can differ for each image, right? You won't select this, but let's say I want to do everything else, okay? And then I just hit save. And what it's going to do is, just going to say effect synced to all the images. Now, hopefully, this should also, in just some time, get that same effect that we had here. So you can see it's showing processing, because obviously now it's working on multiple images. That's why I didn't put too many images, all the images from the shoot, but you can see here, right? With just one click, it's not only for one photo now, one click is doing the job for the whole batch of photos. So just imagine how fast you can give the photos to your clients and how much time and effort you can save with this software. So let's just also wait for this. And this is absolutely amazing. And once you have done this, by the way, there's another feature in Evoto, which right now I'm not going to show you because this is getting a bit long. But another feature in Evoto is that you can actually save or sync or save the preset according to a particular face. So let's say if there's a particular model that you shoot again and again, you can save the portrait or the skin thing that you've done for that subject. Okay, it's going to get a bit advanced, but a lot more is possible. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so that let's say if I was to shoot this particular person tomorrow, but in a different environment, in different lighting, at least I won't have to do this portrait, the skin retouching again, because we can save a preset according to her face also. Don't want to get into that right now, but just know that it can be done. Okay, and finally, once you're done, you can export this. So let me just quickly export this to the desktop, so we'll be able to see the results. And we are going to now hit export. You can see and view the progress within the export list. So we can hit that list on that door-like icon. You can see current progress. And this was the issue that I was telling you about, okay? That doesn't allow sometimes to export, maybe because, we're still using the free trial. But the thing is, the free trial there says that I at least have 5 credits, and we only used 4 exports, right? 4 images. So technically it should allow me, but you can see this was the error I was talking about earlier, that on the free trial, it sometimes gives you this error and you don't get that final result of the exported image. But it doesn't really make a difference, because even the exported image that you do get sometimes when it does work has those watermarks all over the place. You can't really use them. But if it works for you, nothing like it, you'll be able to go to that folder and get that image, but with the watermark. But right now, this big button is showing in front of us, which says buy now. Should we buy this? We'll find out in the next video.